Zambia is a country blessed with copper, fertile land and hardworking people. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Zambia will never develop. Not with these leaders, not under this system, not with these choices we keep making. Let me explain why. Right now our currency and everything else is facing a deep decline. You can feel the tension in the air, you can feel the tension in your society, you can feel how the people are suffering. But we've had 60 years of independence. Yet, it's like we never ever even started. There are reasons that have brought us to this position, and in this video I'm going to attempt to break down why we find ourselves in this situation and why even going forward we might still be in this same position, stuck, trapped in a cycle of corruption, economic failure and political resets. Let me tell you about the maize disaster. I'm sure you and I can relate when the mealie meal prices jumped up, and that's because the Minister of Finance hiked up the prices. It was not a lone decision. I'm sure the government sat in a meeting and decided this was the correct thing to do, but unfortunately that did not benefit the people. Their reasoning for introducing this maize hike was to motivate farmers, because then people were more interested in farming soya beans than the actual maize, so the productivity for maize farming went down, and that was before the extreme drought came, right? But that was the beginning of the end for affordability of maize. It led to the ordinary Zambians not being able to afford their staple food. Why? Salaries haven't budged in years. Meanwhile, the politicians and the big farmers, they got rich. They made a killing of this. While the ordinary Zambian, when you just buy mealie meal in your salary is gone. Very, very unfortunate. This was not a policy. This was elite economics. And it's not new. For years, leaders have prioritized small wins over long-term sustainable growth. Take energy for example. ZESCO exports 30% of power to other countries, while Zambians are stuck in 21 hours of load shedding, only getting 3 hours of load shedding per day. What does that do to productivity? If you want to develop a country, you want it to be as productive as possible. Now, if we are stuck getting 3 hours of power, not prioritizing our own people, misappropriating the resources to other countries, this will leave us stuck for years. They made a small win, they're able to make a little bit of some money here and there, but what is the long-term effect for stamping productivity? If we go back more on the new news that will be introduced on the 31st of March, I know the governor has talked about all the good things like security and how they've introduced things that are more inclusive, especially to the blind and all that are able to use braille and what, they've increased the sizes and whatnot. Yeah, they're talking about the good things, but let me be blunt. This is a disaster. When countries like Zimbabwe and Venezuela introduced bigger notes, that led to economic collapse. In my view, that's the same move that we've also made. So instead of sticking to it, fighting through, or just, if it means introducing bigger notes for more security, we shouldn't have introduced bigger notes. We should have still maintained it at 100 kwacha. This move to me signals surrender to inflation. This move signals panic. All those savings that you have in your account or anything, those will just evaporate. The prices will keep soaring higher, and the smaller notes will begin getting more and more useless. You saw what happened to the 10 and 5 ingwes and the like. When the 100 kwacha note was introduced, all those evaporated. Their value evaporated, they're no longer even in use. Now, the smallest coin that you can use is a 50 ingwe. Mind you, printing all these notes is a costly affair. The country is slowly developing, because either way, advancing of technology and advancing of the people cannot be stopped. Mobile money transactions have become now the norm. So instead of the Bank of Zambia investing in technology and cyber security to protect people as they transact through this mobile money, I know they've been preaching the go cashless agenda for a long time, but it's now finally happening. They want to undertake a costly affair now at this particular point when the Zambian kwacha is barely surviving. Like, what does that say about our choices, the choices that we keep making? But all you know, guess who this affects? Not the politicians with offshore accounts. It affects you, the ordinary Zambian. The other reason why we're not going to develop is because the professionals that we have, when it comes to a time to shine, like for example when we have this crisis, the crisis for power, this is where we expected our engineers to shine. Unfortunately, this crisis has gone on for close to 2 years now. We're still rolling in the same crisis while we have professionals. My question is, what do our professionals do to help expand our country? What do the professionals do to help us solve these complex problems? We have 3,000 plus engineers registered in Zambia, yet we have 0 power plants. Yes, I know we have a little few mini plants that are being driven back into the national grid, but that is not substantial enough. We need like head-turning projects whereby engineers really worked on this. But where are we on there? You can educate me if you have got more information on that. Sometimes it might not be good to, compare our local engineers to those in the international world, because those guys have been at it. They've been trying to develop for more than 400 years and we are only at 60 years. But just if we look at Nigeria, they have what is called solar sisters. They call it solar sisters power villages. And these are able to light up homes, right? In Kenya, they have M-Copper that lights up homes. But here, apathy, distraction. The engineers are also complaining and blaming the government like all of us, instead of looking for solutions. And they might be right, but where is the hustle? Where is the innovation? Instead, we're stuck in a loop: complain, blame, repeat. The other reason is a deadly cycle: the aid and debt. I'm gonna keep this one very, very simple. Zambia exports raw copper. Others profit. We beg for aid while others dictate our terms. This isn't development. This is modern slavery, and this is fueled by leaders who would rather hand over mines and power plants rather than build factories or fund tech hubs. Even when citizens try to rise, the system crushes them. Look, immediately register a company in Zambia. From the first month, you're going to be taxed 35%. While the foreigners, they get 5 to 10 years of tax breaks, because what they do is that when they reach their 5-year period, they'll simply switch the name of the company or re-register a company and get another 5 years of a tax break. The money that they make from here goes to their country, but nothing comes through Zambia to fund its development or anything. We don't benefit anything. ZRA is out there trying to get more efficient at crushing the ordinary citizen, where they become more and more loose to the foreign entities. This is very, very unfortunate. It now raises a question to me: are these entities really pro-Zambian? What are these really here to do? If you cannot protect your own businesses here, you're giving tax breaks to foreign companies, they can easily be able to come in here and take over markets. How do you compete with that? Well, other countries, they dearly protect their businesses. They dearly protect their successful enterprises, like those Korea and those in China. No foreign company can come over and take over a market that is being ruled by a local company. Here, in just the recent past, Yango came over into the market where Ulendo was flourishing. Ulendo was a Zambian company doing very well, paying good taxes, employing people. The government allowed Yango to come over into the market, engage predatory pricing, because they had cheap capital and they were using a currency that was more powerful than Zambia. So it was easy for them to take a quick loss to run Ulendo out of the market and grab all the market share, while they were also enjoying those 5+ years of tax breaks. Ulendo simply could not compete. That is not what the government should do. The government should be able to protect its local citizens. No foreign company should be able to come over and take over a market, don't pay tax for 5 years, and just leave with all the resources, while the ordinary Zambian citizen is suffering. They cannot rise above what the system has been programmed to do. It's been programmed to keep entrepreneurs down. The other recipe for stagnation is the 5-year election cycle. Now, these 5-year election cycles, for me, are designed for failure. Every new leader abandons the projects of their predecessor. These were projects that could have led into new developments if they had just been continued. The person who come in the first 2 years probably pause all the projects. They begin to stagnate. After pausing all those developmental projects, they will now introduce their own, which will run for like another 2 years. By the time that they are waking up, it's election time. The year they will focus not on development, they'll focus on campaigning. When that one gets out of office, there'll be another person who will come, stagnate those projects that were implemented by their predecessor, and the cycle continues. No development will happen in that. I'm sure you can be able to see the vision of why I say that Zambia will never be able to develop. It's this type of reasoning. While we're out here stuck in these undevelopmental cycles, China and Korea are out there making 50-year plans. Now you might be asking, how do they initiate and implement these 50-year plans while subsequently having elections? Well, they simply have policies where they are more pro-development than pro-election. So the people that look at economic economic policies and influence economic policies are a different entity, and they have rules and regulations that no leader will be able to come in and bring back the development that has been done by another leader. Some economic agendas just have to be stuck to. I think as a country there is reason for us to sit down and plan our next 50 years. Like, have some proper agendas. If you look at the way China is that it made a proper plan and a proper agenda. They had different goals over the years. Now they're in the age where they're advancing technology-wise. After taking over all different types of markets, being the global factory and all that, they've achieved all that, and that was intention that was properly laid in their economic policies and their economic agenda. We could do something similar. We could just commit to a certain policy, and whichever leader comes in should not disturb that. They should just stick to whatever it is that we've decided as a country and keep on moving with the agenda. In 50 plus years we'll be at a different place, rather than being stuck in a cycle of 5 years that just does nothing. If this does not change, unfortunately in the next 50 years Zambia will just be at this same particular place where we're at right now. The other reason why we're going to be stuck is apathy among young people. Like, I believe in the potential that the youth have. We've got talented youth who think very differently from the older generation. With us, tribalism is not really an apparent thing that can really drag us down. We think different, we see the world different. But what makes me sad, what saddens me, is how apathetic we are at certain opportunities that are running in the market. I remember there was one time, I think in 2022, when there was like application for funding. Of course, some of that funding was misappropriated, given to cadres and all, but there was opportunity even for the ordinary citizen. All the 11 people that applied got the funding, and the government was looking to fund about 100 businesses. Only 11 people applied. That's the kind of apathy that we have as young people. Right now, the Tony Elumelu Foundation is running applications to fund you with a $5,000 for your business that is non-refundable, as long as you present a very, very good idea or a business that is already running ideally, right? These are opportunities for funding that are there, but are we as a youth taking advantage of them? Are we taking advantage of the loopholes or the opportunities that the government will begin to create going forward? I don't see that. What I rather see are an unmotivated bunch of youths that would rather just be online debating and insulting each other, especially debating nonsensical issues and things like that, and even making efforts to go and embarrass a celebrity or something like that. Very, very useless initiatives that these youths are taking. If they got that energy and implemented it into something developmental, I think we would be at a very, very different space. We wouldn't even need any help from the policies from these politicians if we were that united towards positive things. You don't even have to go far. We can look at youth in Nigeria and Kenya, the way they are taking advantage of AI and technology. These guys are hungry, they are always on the go, they are always on the move. I think if we as Zambian youth took up that kind of attitude, we would be at a different level. So having understood a couple of points of why Zambia would never develop, what's the way forward? If you've been paying close attention, I've mentioned of how Zambia favors the foreign companies more than its own entrepreneurs, how it never protects its own entrepreneurs, right? If you look at it carefully, that's an opportunity to exploit. If you have the means to be able to leave this country, I think you should take that. Leave this country, build your wealth elsewhere, and then come back as a foreign investor. You will enjoy those 5-year tax breaks. Your money that you would have built from that other country that has got more financial muscle will have more power here, and you can just simply be able to take over markets so easily, since the entrepreneurs here are not protected by any government. I think hungry and motivated Zambians, that would be the way, because if you're going to stick here and say I'm going to fight it out throughout, unfortunately there's a lot of things that are fighting against you that I've just mentioned here. So if you know what's good for you, it's better to leave this country, build your wealth elsewhere, and then come back as a big boy or big girl. I think that's the way. I think that's the way forward. Look, Zambia could thrive, but it needs a revolution. Not with guns, but with courage. Courage to hold the leaders accountable. Courage to demand fair policies. Courage to innovate, even when the system is rigged. Until then, we'll keep printing bigger notes. We'll keep begging for aid. And Zambia will never develop. But if you're tired of never, share this video. Let's start a conversation. What is the solution? Comment below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your thoughts are on this issue. Do you agree with the case I've presented to you? Do you have more information that supports some of this? Do you have a different view of this whole issue? Let's discuss. All right? See you in the next one. Let's discuss in the comments.